Cybercrime, most of the time, is a bigger business than the business that you're operating. They're multi-million dollars, up to $1 billion. They're doing business all over the world. They don't have boundaries. They're not selling anybody. They are walking in the door and saying, give me your money or else. So it's a good business to be in when you look at the economic inflow that comes into them. Obviously, it's criminal and against the law, but they're ruthless and they'll go right after your business and try to take it down until you give them the money that they expect.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Greg. Greg, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Michelle, my pleasure. Looking forward to the conversation.
Nice. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Yeah, Greg Tomchick. Grew up in a military family, played a couple of years of professional baseball. Always been entrepreneurial at heart. And early on in my career, one of my businesses had a cyber attack. And today I'm the CEO of Valor Cybersecurity based in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Okay, we got to back up to that one. It's not everybody that gets a cyber attack goes, no, we're not putting up with that. So I'm going to start a company and get you last. That's hilarious. How did you decide that that was your thing?
Yeah, I didn't have anybody to call when my house was on fire, as I like to say. One of my mentors told me early on, you're best and most qualified to serve yourself 5 years ago and what you really needed. And that was myself when I went out into the world and said, what's my next business going to be? I found the pain that other people are going through and potentially are going to go through. And I said, how can I put myself in the middle of that and create economic value and build a team around it? And that's what I've been able to do over the past about 3 years. And it's been a fun journey.
Wow. So fast forward to today, who is it that you serve and support and who's or your favorite client?
Yeah, so we're mainly focused on defense contractors, technology companies, and investment communities, as we call them. So venture capital, private equity, cyber threat actors, the hackers, as most people say, are really focused on money at this point in time. Obviously, information is important to everybody, but they're going after the money. And those are really the three industries and communities that are moving the most money and are at the highest threat of digital and cyber related type attacks. So we're a partner to various companies in those three verticals, and we do a very specific service that is more focused on getting out in front of it as opposed to reacting when something bad does happen.
Nice. So talk to me about that, because I know there's been a ton of talk and activity in the tech world. I don't know so much in the normal world, but I assume everybody that's in those three industries is pretty high up on kind of how hackers are getting into taking information, taking over data. What is it that you're working on to be able to help navigate that?
Yeah, you'd be very surprised on the lack of situational awareness around this. We see a lot of things in the news. There's a lot of information online. Most business owners don't really know how to make sense of it and how to put it into action. We really go in and start the conversation on, do you have a budget to address this growing risk in your business? Most of them, about 85%, say, no, we don't have a budget. As we know, as business owners, when there's not a budget item, most of the time we're not spending money on something because we're trying to make the most of each dollar. A lot of times we go in and I take that military upbringing, my professional baseball experience, and then what I've learned in cybersecurity, both from my own crisis, but also from other companies that I've helped, and really just discuss, hey, what's important to you as a business owner? What do you want to protect? And let's just start there, and let's take the complexities of technology, of this looming word of cybersecurity and all the things that it means on the internet, and just make it simple on how we can spend $1 to potentially protect ourselves from losing $3 to $5 down the road. And that's really the simple aspect we take. And I call that the connected mindset. And that's what I talk about a lot in the community is how can business owners use that, the consistency, the persistence, the mindset that they've already built, that muscle of business ownership and grit and resilience, and really focus it on a new topic that is really coming into their business and has a huge threat. And I've seen companies and universities go out of business from this stuff. So I just try to be the warning sign, but also the educator that can help folks take action on it.
Nice. Well, and I know in a lot of situations, people think, oh, as long as I have a backup, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
Talk to
yeah,
me.
yeah. It's so the funny thing is when people say things over and over again, obviously the threats are looking at what people are saying over and over again. So they go after the backups first, before they actually execute an attack on the business. So we see a lot of companies that don't have multiple layers of defenses. Just like you have a lock on your front door, and then obviously maybe have a dog, and some type of alarm that's going to go off if somebody comes in when it's armed and you're sleeping. So you have to have those multiple layers. Backup is just the front door lock, and as we know, people can either kick right through it, or they can take the door off the hinge and then walk right in the front door. And if there's not something behind that is protecting the business, whether that is segmentation of their technology networks, whether that's cyber insurance. A lot of companies still don't have insurance to this, but they have insurance to cover business interruption, as many of us know. But cybersecurity is not covered under business disruption most of the time. So there's some intricacies in this industry that I've learned and helped companies navigate most of the time when the fire has already started. So we're really trying as a company here at Valor Cybersecurity to make sure companies have all the information, and we lay it out, free of charge, and say, if you need help, give us a call, but here's the information you need to take action and go forward and make sense of all this stuff. And I think that's what this industry just needs a little bit more of, is people willing to lend their expertise free of charge. And then when people either need a deeper level of assistance or support, then they call a service provider like us, and they're ready to invest. They have a budget for it, and we'll be ready and poised to support them in that effort.
Nice. Well, I know, especially kind of seasonal work right now, well, as we're recording this, we're in March, the they tend to be going after companies like tax accountants and people that need to have their work done now. Like they're all under deadline. They were all stressed before, and now they're losing their minds. Is there kind of any industry that's kind of not thinking this might apply to me because I'm too small, or I'm too whatever, I'm too removed from the situation?
Yeah, most of the time it's the companies that consider themselves subcontractors. So like they produce a bolt that goes onto a ship, for example, or they produce some small part to an overall puzzle. And what a lot of people need to realize that they commonly don't see is that the threat actors, the hackers, are trying to get every piece of the puzzle so they can put it together and then overall take over the ship. So every piece is valuable to them. And if they can go after a company that thinks they're too small and doesn't have those multi-layer protections, they just walk in, take the puzzle piece, take the aspect of information or email contacts, and then they walk right out and go after the next puzzle piece. This is an industry in itself, this crime business. As we know, physical crime and mobsters and things, it's always been a business. Cyber crime, most of the time, is a bigger business than the business that you're operating. They're multi-million dollars, up to $1 billion. They're doing business all over the world. They don't have boundaries. They're not selling anybody. They are walking in the door and saying, give me your money or else. So it's a good business to be in when you look at the economic inflow that comes into them. Obviously, it's criminal and against the law, but they're ruthless, and they'll go right after your business and try to take it down until you give them the money that they expect. And most of the time, they're more sophisticated than the defenders, which is important. And we want to make sure that they have the defenses before things potentially go wrong.
Well, and I know that ransom has become the thing, if you want to put it that way. Once upon a time, it was just, we're disrupting your systems. And I think part of it was they were just kind of testing their abilities to be able to hack into systems. Now that they've got it down pat, they're going, oh, okay, let's make some money off of this. Is kind of ransomware the thing? And or is there kind of some new and funkier ways that they're attacking?
Yeah, it's definitely around ransom because of money. I think crime rings are familiar with that. Let me steal something and then make somebody pay money in order to get it back. So that's the main aspect of it. A lot of it is let's corrupt the system and then find other ways. Like we'll steal data, try to sell that data. And if we can't sell the data, then we'll go back and try to get a ransom. That's the hot topic. And it's really just a way to carry out a wider attack at the end of the day and get as much money as possible from that attack. Because if they ransomware your company, they already have the information to sell it. Then they're just giving it back to you. They're giving you back your valuable prized possession for a money in return, and kind of finding ways to sell it multiple times. And as we know as business owners, when you can sell something multiple times without much effort, that's an optimal business at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think they're having a hard time going after these people because the person that's in charge of the server or the programming or whatever, they're not the mastermind behind it. They're just doing a job.
Absolutely.
Sounds very
Yeah.
feeble, but
Right. Yeah.
but arresting them isn't going to stop the chain. They're just the one at the end that happened to get caught.
Mhm.
So when you're working with companies, what does that look like? How do people come to you and say, hey, we have ransomware, fix us? Or are they going, hey, this is not acceptable and we need to figure out what's going on? Or do they have a kind of a plan? This is what I think we need to do, and go from
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Most of the time, we don't have a plan yet. We need to get somebody to look at our business from a threat mindset and where these people would want to get into to be able to gain economic value. So we call it a cybersecurity assessment. We actually offer a free assessment online for companies to get started. So to really lower that barrier, most of the time when I was getting into this industry, it was 25 grand plus to even start the process. We try to lower that barrier, give a free kind of lightweight assessment just to educate on the exposure that your company may have, give you some recommendations. Most of the time, folks come back and say, hey, I have a team that can do this, or I don't. And that's where we can really step in and be a managed service provider and kind of help take this off of the plate of the executives that may not have the specialized expertise to implement this type of activity.
Nice. Well, in a moment, I'm going to ask you about a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before I do that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
Awesome. So I'm super excited to hear an example of a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Michelle. And so it's an interesting story. I actually have a local client named Beth that's here in Virginia, and she was a creative artist. She is used to selling physical paintings. And as COVID came about, obviously people were not visiting art studios and things of that nature. And NFTs became a big type thing that was coming up. And she wanted to get into that space. And it really supercharged her business from a revenue standpoint. She started to get all of these great technologies, the Slacks, the websites, the things of that nature that she didn't need in the past. And what we call that is kind of technology crawl. So technology was now an integral part of her business operation. And she started to get a high profile locally as well as internationally, because now the borders are knocked down. It's no longer in a specific building. And she actually had kind of a slight system disruption. And she realized how it made her lose money over time. So we were able to actually get to her before she had a cyber attack, but she realized how detrimental cybersecurity was to her business. So we were able to go in, do our assessment. She actually took our free assessment and said, hey, I don't know really how to implement any of this stuff. I need multi-factor on all my accounts. I need to make sure that access from my employee side is controlled. And we were able to put some pretty great things in place for her and able to educate her on the simplicity of it, which is very important in the cybersecurity world. And she hired us on to be her cybersecurity team. So we basically manage her environment on a monthly basis and help keep her up to date. And she can still run and love what she does, but feel protected in everything that she's doing. So it's really been a Cinderella story for us. We try to replicate that each and every day with all of our clients.
So I love it. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
Yeah, so I'm all over LinkedIn, Instagram as well. As I mentioned, all about sharing free content and free information. It's all out there. You can also go to Valor, which is VALOR cybersecurity.com. A lot of free resources on there. We post each week a new blog on the relevant questions our clients are asking. We have an ebook for those three markets that we focus on that really lays out what a specific business owner is probably thinking in that industry and the biggest questions and answers in those spaces. So we try to be really specific to our market on our website, but you can check us out on LinkedIn, Valor Cybersecurity or Greg Tomchick, and that's kind of the central landing page. Getting ready to release a book later this month called Cybersecurity for Everyday People. It's really the business card that my team and I hand out in the business community when we're out and about, just to give people kind of a little token of our appreciation for what they're doing in business in a way that they can protect both their business but also their personal life, because as we know, work is no longer just in an office building, it's also in your home, and kids or grandparents are getting on the same network as your company, and that can be a bit of a concern. So we've lowered the barrier there and looking forward to the impact of that book.
I love it. So we will, of course, have all of Greg's links in the show notes. So go ahead and scroll down, click on the links, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. So Greg, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you're especially kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I think when I just started to do it, I always kind of thought of these entrepreneurs as these superheroes that were out there doing something special and creating jobs. My family was initially both military officers. Both of my parents, their parents were both in the military, so entrepreneurship was not in my blood. My mom thought of entrepreneurs as one of her uncles was an entrepreneur and he was always traveling. So she always thought of entrepreneurs as they're always gone, they're not present. So I got this mindset as a young kid of entrepreneurship is really, grinding so that when you're in your 60s and 70s, you can treat your family well at that point and do what freedom ultimately meant. But, early on started a company, went through all the pain, had to battle with my ego and really put it aside eventually. But I realized that the most wise people around me were entrepreneurs, and I wanted to be one of those people. It took me a while to get there. I'm still in that process of continually improving. But I look at the people that I employ nowadays and say, what is your creative genius and how can you bring that to the world in a better way? And I think that's entrepreneurship, is just finding what's unique to you, bringing it to a crowd of folks that really need it, and then just being the person that folks can call when they have that problem area. And that's how simple entrepreneurship has become to me over time. But I still think I'm a little bit crazy to continue to do it because it'd be a lot easier going to work for somebody else.
Right? Certainly more predictable.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Maybe not in the Army, but that might not be quite as more predictable.
Yeah.
Right. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
No, I'd say, keep doing what you're doing. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're somebody that's entrepreneurial, keep up the great work. Find a way to adopt mindsets that help you better connect with people around you. I like to say that because of technology, we're more connected and less connected than ever before, because we're not able to get in front of people. So I encourage people to meet up, have conversations just like this, share strategies, share insights, and it leaves everyone better off. Try to find somebody that is 3 to 5 years, kind of yourself 3 to 5 years ago, and educate them on what you wish you would have known. That's kind of legacy, in my opinion, handing down all the hard lessons that we've all learned. And I think that's a life well lived at the end of the day.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Greg. I appreciate it. And I know how valuable it is.
Thanks, Michelle.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.